The first thing anyone noticed was the silence, sharp, heavy, and completely out of character for Shohei Ohtani. It wasn't the kind of silence that follows a bad game or a tough interview. It was the kind that surrounds a storm when it's still deciding whether to destroy everything in its path. People close to him said they had never seen him like this. The calm, polite superstar who always bowed, always smiled, always thanked every single reporter even after a loss, now walked with a stiffness in his shoulders, as if he was carrying something far heavier than a baseball world expected him to lift. And deep inside that silence, a story was unfolding. A story involving trust, betrayal, money, pride, and a Hawaii mansion that had somehow turned into the epicenter of a courtroom war. It all began long before the headlines made it sound dramatic. Before the legal papers, before the accusations, before anyone whispered the words, "Ohtani is angry." It started with a simple decision. He wanted a place where he and his wife, Mamiko, could disappear from the world. A quiet home overlooking the Hawaiian surf. Somewhere private. Somewhere safe. But the moment he shared that dream with the wrong person, that dream became a weapon. The broker, smooth-talking, well-connected, and always looking for an angle, had been thrilled. Working with Ohtani meant instant credibility, instant fame, instant business. He bragged about it, even when he shouldn't have. He hinted to people he barely knew that he was the man behind Ohtani's new paradise home. And then he made the mistake that changed everything. He crossed the wrong line. Rumors say it began with a picture. A private picture of Mamiko, taken without the couple's permission, shared in places it didn't belong. Maybe he thought it was harmless. Maybe he thought it would impress someone. Maybe he thought no one would find out. But someone did. And Shohei Ohtani, the polite man, the gentleman, the soft-spoken superstar, went cold. Very cold. People around him said it wasn't the kind of anger that explodes. It was the kind that freezes over. The kind that settles in the eyes and stays there. The kind that a man like Ohtani rarely ever shows, because when he does, it means a line has truly, absolutely been crossed. And when Ohtani is angered, he doesn't shout. He acts. That's when the name, Valero, entered the picture. A powerhouse, a strategist, a man who walks into courtrooms the same way closers walk onto the mound in the bottom of the ninth. Calm, deadly, unshakable. The broker claimed Valero was a difficult man. But what he really meant was, this man cannot be manipulated. Valero didn't smile. He didn't negotiate feelings. He didn't care about reputation or charm. He cared about the truth. And about protecting the man who trusted him. When the broker realized Ohtani wasn't just withdrawing, he was preparing to fight, fear crept in. The kind of fear that comes when the spotlight suddenly flips direction, illuminating every secret a man tried to bury. He tried to defend himself. He tried to talk his way out of it. He even tried to blame misunderstandings, paperwork errors, communication issues. But it was too late. The silence had already turned into a storm. And once Ohtani's legal team began peeling back the layers, every inconsistency became a warning sign, every strange decision became a red flag, and every leaked whisper about Mamiko became a knife twisting deeper. The courtroom became more than a legal battleground, it became a mirror, reflecting a truth the broker never wanted exposed. He wasn't in control. He never had been. Meanwhile, Ohtani moved like a man who had already decided the ending. He showed up with quiet certainty, offering no interviews, no emotional outbursts, no glimpses into what he truly felt. But those close to him noticed the change, a new edge in his posture, a seriousness in his eyes that said this wasn't about money. This was about respect, about privacy, about protecting the one person whose peace meant more to him than any home run, any award, any contract. In the middle of it all, Mamiko remained silent, graceful, invisible, yet her presence was everywhere. In every motion filed, in every argument raised, in every cold glance Ohtani gave toward the broker's corner of the courtroom. Some reporters speculated that the photo incident was the real breaking point. That Ohtani wasn't fighting for a house. He was fighting for her dignity. And in a world where cameras never stop flashing, where every moment is public, where even a private life becomes a commodity, Ohtani drew a line in the sand. Not here. Not this time. Not with her. As the case stretched on, tension began to suffocate the courtroom. Witnesses hesitated. Attorneys sharpened their words. The air felt thick with accusation and pride. And somewhere behind it all, the ocean outside the Hawaii property, still beautiful, still calm, contrasted the human chaos brewing around it. Then came the moment no one forgot. Valero stood. And the room stopped breathing. He wasn't loud. He wasn't dramatic. But his words cut deeper than any shout ever could. He laid out the timeline, the betrayals, the accidental leaks, the inappropriate conversations, the suspicious behavior, the emotional impact on Ohtani and Mamiko. And when he finished, he didn't look at the judge. He looked at the broker. It was the kind of look that says, "You should never have touched this family." And for the first time, the broker's confidence cracked. His voice wavered. His arguments weakened. His story unraveled. Outside the courtroom, fans whispered about what this meant for Ohtani's future. Would this change him? Would this shake his famously composed spirit? But those who truly understood him knew the answer. Ohtani wasn't breaking. He was evolving. He wasn't losing faith. He was learning who deserved it. He wasn't retreating from the world. He was building stronger walls around the people who mattered. By the time the final arguments were made, one truth echoed louder than any headline. Shohei Ohtani may be gentle. He may be humble. He may be kind. But when someone tries to threaten the peace of the life he is building, he fights back. Not with rage. Not with theatrics. But with a relentless, unstoppable determination that few ever see. Until it's already too late. And when the dust settled. When the lawyers packed up their files. When the judge gave the final nod. When the broker walked out with the weight of his own choices pressing down on him. Ohtani didn't celebrate. He didn't smirk. He didn't look victorious. He simply took Mamiko's hand, held it gently, and walked forward, as if to say, "This is the only win that ever mattered." And just like that, the storm passed. Not because justice was loud, but because Shohei Ohtani, the quietest man in baseball, had finally spoken.